Now, if you just recall what we were looking at yesterday, the first thing in terms of allowances that was given to an employee was house rent allowance, right? That was house rent allowance given. House rent allowance is not a benefit. Similarly, we also saw that in terms of allowances, there were allowances for tours and travels. There were allowances for stay in the hotel. There were allowances for, on tours and travels for local travel and food expenses that was being paid to the employee. There was also insurance given to the employee as hazard insurance, and benefits given for hill area and other things of similar kind. But if you strictly look at the benefits that is given to an employee, the first kind of benefit is the meal breaks that people get. That is a benefit given to every employee, because half an hour break is allowed officially, but anything beyond that would be falling under benefit when you are not exactly on the shop floor working, but you are on the break. Then we find that there are paid vacations given to employee. Now these vacations are in the form of LTC for the government employees, that is leave travel concession. And there is also a concession called HTC, that is home travel concession, right? The provision is that an employee gets this benefit of home travel concession once in 4 years, and leave travel concession is also allowed once in 4 years. So anybody who is entitled for a leave travel concession shall have to have a gap of minimum 1 year between the leave travel concession and homeward travel concession. In certain cases, the leave travel concession can be converted to homeward travel, and vice versa has also been done in terms of the benefit to the employee. But the condition is that this benefit will be available to the employee. This will be available to the spouse of the employee. It is also available to the dependents of the employee, with a definition of dependent that a son would get this benefit until the age of maturity when he starts earning. That is not the case. He will get it until he is a dependent till the 21 years of age, whereas a girl child will continue to get until she is married, or if she is a divorcee and dependent of the parent, she will also be included in that. Parents will be included as dependent if they are not getting, benefits from other sources of the government. Now, there is no restriction of 2 children here. It's only that they say legal dependents are being given this particular kind of benefits. Same thing will be true for homeward travel. That is, if they are living in a different city and their hometown is in a different city, that is, the permanent address is different from the present address, then they will get this benefit as well. We also find that during the 7th Pay Commission, this benefit has been enhanced further, that anybody going for an LTC will also get 10 days, DL or EL can be encashed for the purpose. that he will get a cash amount for the expenses that is there. Now, the amount of benefit that is calculated will be economy class airfare, depending on as to what is the grade of the employee, or first class train travel, or a second AC train travel, whatever is the entitlement of the employee. But normally anybody drawing 5,400 plus as a grade pay in the old grade is entitled for an air travel as given for the travel allowances as well. The same rule applies to LTC as far as these benefits are concerned. There is no expenses paid for hotel expenses in terms of benefit here, because you are only given travel concessions. You are not given stay and other concessions, or local travel even is not included in this particular benefit. We also find that this vacation happens to be a paid vacation. When you are on vacation, it's not that you will not be treated on duty. You are treated on duty and paid for the period. So if you have gone for an LTC for a period of 10 days, you will also get salary for that particular period when you are not working. Therefore, it is considered to be a benefit that accrues to an employee. Similarly, we find that health insurance is also provided to the employee at the rate of 100% for self when he is working for the organization, which is not provided in the statute. It is not provided in any kind of law, but is being provided by the organization as a health insurance that is there. Similarly, we also have got social security benefits that is being given to an employee, which is not provided in the statute. There are perks and bonuses which are being provided to the employee, gifts that is being given, that is also a benefit. Pay rise, which is an out of turn pay rise, also a benefit given to employee for working more. And there are employee allowances beyond what is mentioned in the pay package, is also the benefit that is given to an employee when they are working for the organizations. Similarly, in private sector too, the minimum provision is there, but anything extra that is provided and not included in CTC is towards the benefit of the employee that is being given as to the employee as such. So these are the categories of benefit that is included in the salary head that you normally look at. And that brings us to the point when we have got to look at the appraisal system. Right, now we will look at what is performance appraisal and what is a performance management. A performance appraisal, as seen in this slide, is evaluating an employee's current and or past performance relative to his or her performance standards. Whereas performance management is the process employers use to make sure that the employees are working towards organizational goals. So this is the difference between performance management and performance appraisal. I'll repeat this. Performance appraisal is the evaluation of employees' current and or past performance relative to his or her performance standards that has been set by the organization over a period of time. Whereas performance management is basically the process of employers use to make sure that employees are working towards organizational goals, right? So this difference should be very well known to you. But why do organizations do performance management? Increasing use by employers of performance management reflects the popularity of total quality management concepts, the belief that traditional performance appraisals are often not just useless but counterproductive, the necessity in today's globally competitive industrial environment for every employee's efforts to focus on helping the company to achieve its strategic goals which are there. But still we do a performance appraisal. Why do we do it? The performance appraisal play an integral role in the employer's performance management process. Why and how? Because appraisal helps in planning for correcting deficiencies and reinforce things done correctly. Appraisal in identifying employee strengths and weaknesses are useful for career planning. Appraisal affects the employer's salary raise and decisions that is taken regarding this particular purpose. We also find that a realistic appraisal leads to motivations for that is motivation of the employee. The fear of having to hire and train someone new and unpleasant reactions of the appraisee, a company's appraisal process that not conducive to candor is not a motivating or realistic appraisal. There are hazards of giving soft appraisal as well, because if you are giving soft appraisal, people will overestimate themselves, and sometimes that may result into lawsuits. Therefore, there has to be, once we talk about appraisal, it should lead to continuous improvement. The management philosophy that requires employee to continuously set and relentlessly meet ever higher quality, cost, delivery, and availability goals are basically the realistic appraisal. And here you are also eradicating the 7 wastes that is related to the functioning in the organization, that is overproduction, defective products, unnecessary downtime, transportation that is there, processing costs, motion, and unnecessary inventory. Now, this requires each employee to continuously improve his or her own personal performance from one appraisal period to another appraisal period is what we call as performance management. Now, the components of an effective performance management process would be direction sharing, role clarification, goal alignment, developmental goal setting, ongoing performance monitoring, ongoing feedback, coaching and support, performance assessment appraisal, rewards recognition and compensation, workflow and process control returns. We also have the goals to be defined. Now, these are guidelines for effective goals. Assign specific goals, assign measurable goals, assign challenging but doable goals, and encourage participation. Until this is being done, any appraisal that we do would not be effective. We also talk about a SMART goal where S stands for specific, M for measurable, A for attainable, R for relevant, and T for timely. Now, any goal has to be a SMART goal with these acronym that we have used: specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. Without this, no goal can be achieved. Now, performance appraisal roles are basically traditionally being given to the supervisors. Usually, they do the actual appraising. This must be similar with basic appraisal techniques and must understand and avoid problems that can cripple appraisal, and they must know how to conduct appraisal fairly. That is what a supervisor should know before they go in for the appraisal process. Then we also find that we have got HR department which delves into this particular area and serves as a policy making, and it has got advisory role because it provides advice and assistance regarding appraisal tool to use. It also talks about preparation of forms, procedures, and insists that all departments use the same standard format, not a different format. They're responsible for training supervisors to improve their appraisal skills, and they also talk about responsible for monitoring the system to ensure that appraisal formats and criteria comply with equal employment opportunity laws and are up to date. This is what the HR department has to ensure. Now, once we are talking about appraising performance, there are certain steps. First is defining the job. Make sure that you and your subordinate agree on his or her duties and job standards in advance, that is in the beginning of the year. Not that you are trying to change the goalpost towards the end of the year. This has to be agreed upon right in the beginning as to what are the key areas that is going to be appraised and what is going to be the standard against which they are going to be appraised. They will be clearly told about the roles that they have got to perform, and an agreement has to be there between the supervisor and the subordinate. Similarly, an appraising performance would be comparing your subordinate's actual performance to the standard that have been set. This usually involves some type of rating forms that has to be developed by the organization. It should also ensure that it should provide feedback, that is discussing the subordinate's performance and progress, and make plans for any development required. But there is a caution here that this performance feedback should only be given to the person concerned. This should not be discussed with other employee, because that is against the secrecy law that has to be maintained as far as data is concerned. So no data should be shared with other employees. It should strictly be with the same employee. We also find that we have got to design the appraisal tool, that is what to measure, that is the work output, quality and quantity. We have looked at the personal competency to be measured and the goal, that is or objective achievement, that has to be measured. But how are we going to measure it? There are large number of systems which are available, large number of methods that is available. So we have graphic rating scale, we have alternation ranking method, we have got MBO as the method. These are three basic methods that are there. We will see other methods as well. The graphic rating scale is a scale that lists a number of traits and a range of performance for each, that is used to identify the score that best describes an employee's level of performance for each traits, right? This is a graphic rating scale format that is normally used and is basically utilized where rating scale is from 1 to 100, 90 to 80, 80 to 70, 70 to 60, and below 60, because we do not expect anybody to perform less than that. And then the points are being assigned and any description that has to be written. Now, these forms are normally a long form that has to be filled by the supervisors and sometimes by the employee themselves as to what they feel like. We also have got an alternation ranking method, where ranking employee from the best to the worst is being done, and on a particular trait that has been identified and discussed earlier, choosing the highest, then the lowest, until all people, employees are being ranked from 1 to as many as they are available in that particular department. So this is not going to be an organization-wide, alternation ranking. It will be department or shop floor-wise alternate ranking that is being done. Similarly, we have got paired comparison method, where ranking employees by making a chart of all possible pairs of employees for each trait and indicating which is the better employee of the pair who are there. And this is the format that we normally use for alternation ranking method or alternating ranking scale that is there. And then we say who all are there. Then we also find that we have got method called forced distribution method, which is similar to grading on a curve. Determined a percentage of ratees are placed in various performance categories. That is 15% on high performance. This is hypothetical. 20% higher average performance, 30% average performance, 20% low average performance, and 15% low performance, which are there. Similarly, we have got narrative forms as yet another system of performance appraisal. Then there are behaviorally anchored rating scale or bars, an appraisal method that uses quantified scale with specific narrative examples of good and poor performance that is there. But developing bar is a difficult exercise because it takes a lot of time and energy and cost. But if it is developed properly, it generates critical incidents, develops performance dimensions, relocate incidents, scale the incidents, and develop a final instrument that is useful for the organization. It is more accurate, clear, feedback is direct, and independent dimensions of consistency is also there. And there is a format for this particular purpose as well, which is there. Drucker proposed a method of appraisal, which he called as MBO, that is management by objectives. This involves setting specific measurable goals with each employee and then periodically reviewing the progress made. This set the organization goals, set the departmental goals, discuss departmental goals, define expected result, that is set individual goals in consultation with the supervisors, and supervisor will do a performance review and provide them feedback, which is how the MBO is being done. Then we also have got computerized and web-based performance appraisal system, and not very popular in India because performance appraisal softwares are used for this purpose, where key notes on subordinates during the year electronically rate employee on a series of performance traits and generate written text to support each part of the appraisal. Similarly, we have electronic performance monitoring system being utilized for similar purpose, but these are almost a regular kind of thing that happens. Then there are potential rating scales for appraisal problems where unclear standards or halo effects or central tendency could be there. Because when an appraisal is appraising the performance, if standards are not clear, then performance will get wrong. Or there is an aura kind of a thing that occurs when a supervisor's rating of subordinate on one trait biases the rating of that person on other traits. If one trait is very good or very bad, that will have an impact on the rating of the other traits which is being measured. That is called the halo effect. Then we have got a central tendency where appraisers are not very serious and they normally assign ratings in and around the medium value, that is the average value that is being given. So in around 50.5, this is being done, and saying that plus minus 5 or plus minus 10 difference can be, everybody would be placed. What we find that sometimes there are also problems of strictness. Similarly, there will be problems of leniency on the part of the supervisors or raters. There are also biases that may be there. The tendency to allow individual differences such as age, race, gender to affect the appraisal's rating employee that receives. Sometimes nepotism also crops in this particular category, or personal liking and dislikings also comes up as a bias that is normally seen in this particular process of rating. But how to avoid appraisal problems? Learn and understand the potential problem and solutions for each. Use right appraisal tool. Each tool has its own pros and cons. We also have trained supervisors to reduce rating errors such as halo leniency and central tendency, and have raters compile positive and negative critical incidents as they occur so that it is being utilized. Who should do the appraising? The immediate supervisor should do it. Peer should do it. The rating committee should do it. Self-rating can be done. Subordinate rating can be done. And this is what we call as 360 degrees appraisal system, where everybody, including self, is involved in appraising the employee. Here, sometimes we also have got the suppliers doing the appraisal, or customers doing appraisal of the person who they are dealing with, included in the 360 degrees appraisal system. Now, the advantage and disadvantages of all we have seen, but sometimes we also conduct appraisal interview. The types of appraisal interview would be satisfactory or promotable employees would be given that. Satisfactory, non-promotable employees would be given appraisal. Unsatisfactory, correctable employee will be facing the interview, and unsatisfactory, correctable employee will also get an interview because that is where they are going to be explained as to where they are getting wrong. Otherwise, the employee will behave in a funny manner later on if they are not being, explained everything through the interview. But how to conduct the appraisal interview? Talk in terms of objective work done and the data that is available. Don't get personal with anybody. Discuss the things individually. Don't discuss things in groups or in front of anybody else. Encourage the person to talk and don't tiptoe around that is there. And this is the appraisal performance that is there. Now, performance appraisal interview should also handle a defensive subordinate. Recognize that defensive supervisor is normal. Never attack a person's defense. Postpone action and recognize your own limitations. That is there as an appraiser that will be recognized. But how to criticize a subordinate? In an interview or discussion, this problem is quite common. Do it in a manner that lets the person maintain his or her dignity and sense of worth, not that a person starts feeling worthless in the process. Right? Now that is very, very important. Criticize in private and do it constructively rather than criticizing for the sake of it. Avoid once a year critical broadside by giving feedback on a daily basis so that the formal review contains no surprises. Never say the person is always wrong. Criticism should be objective and free of any personal biases on the part of the supervisors. We also find that we have got to ensure the interview leads to improved performance of the employee, because the basic tenets of modern appraisal as against the old appraisal system is that appraisal is for improvement. Performance appraisal is for improvement of the performance. It is for correction of any critical wrongdoing that has happened. It is not for reward and punishment. Sometimes rewards can be considered, but punishment is out of question as far as the modern appraisal system is concerned. And that is why we do not include in this the bureaucratic appraisal system, which we used to call as confidential reporting system, or CR, that was written by the supervisors without the knowledge of the subordinates, and it was at the whims and fancies of the supervisors, and basically meant for reward and punishment, not for any improvement. And therefore the CR system was being hated by the employee, and it used to become terrible for them. Therefore it was dropped by the organization, and they adopted modern appraisal system, which ensures improvement of performance by the employee. And therefore, we do not make the subordinate feel threatened during the interview. Give the subordinate opportunity to present his or her ideas and feelings, and to influence the course of the interview. Have a helpful and constructive supervision conduct. The supervisor conduct the interview, and other subordinates the necessary support for development, and change should be there. We also find that a formal written warning sometimes needs to be given, but how to handle them? Purpose of the written warning should be explained to shake your employee out of the bad habits, help you defend your rating both to your own boss and to the outside world in terms of courts, etc., where the cases normally occur, the corporate cases. A written warning should identify standards by which employee is judged, make clear that employees was aware of the standards. Specifically, they should be told about the deficiencies relative to these standards. It indicates employee a prior opportunity for correction. Now, in terms of law of contract and legal system of any land in the world, we find that there is something called law of natural justice. Now, if you are not giving the subordinate chances to explain their side of the story as to why performance is getting wrong, what are the things, so they have got to be given an adequate chance to explain things, and that is where we look at the warnings given should also be followed in terms of natural justice. We also say that what is our strategy and what are our goals? What does this mean for the goals we set for the employees and for how to train them, appraise them, promote them, and reward them? And what will be the technical support required for the purpose? That should also be seen in this particular category. Now, if this is what we have in the appraisal system that is there, then what should we look at? What should we look at in terms of the appraisal that is being given to an employee? Now, what we find that normally the organizations would follow a 360-degree appraisal system as the most favorite appraisal system that they follow. And this appraisal system called 360-degree is where a direct influence of the subordinates are there, and therefore it is one of the system which we also call as the feedback system rather than an appraisal system. Now, apart from the appraisal system that we follow, we also have got, as we said in the beginning, the performance management, because the ultimate objective of the appraisal system is that we will be looking at the performance management of the employee, that is the achievement of the objectives and goals that is there. And therefore, once we are doing this, sometimes we also need to do the potential appraisal of the employee along with the performance appraisal to know as to which area they could excel and post them in the area of their choice rather than just looking at the performance appraisal and saying that wherever they were posted, they have to perform. That should not be the criteria as far as this appraisal system is concerned. So this basically, has got one more point that I would like to emphasize. The performance appraisal format normally towards the end should have an open-ended question for the employee to express their opinion. That is, an employee must tell as to where, what really will improve the performance of that particular employee. Is there any training or is there any other thing that will improve the performance of the employee? And if they are being given this particular chance, they will, get to improve. Therefore, counseling and performance review becomes very, very important in the process, because it helps the employee realize his or her potential as an employee. It also, help them know their strengths and weaknesses. It also helps them acquire more insight into the behavior of their own. It also helps them for interpersonal effectiveness in terms of communication. It also helps them to set goals which are there. It also generates alternatives for them as to which area they could go. It helps them, do problem sharing with their fellow employees, and it helps them, develop an action plan, and it is also leading to a non-threatening attitude which are there. And therefore, once we look at the performance appraisal of 360 degrees, all these objectives are being achieved in the process of a 360 degrees appraisal system. And that brings us to the end of the appraisal system that we have got to do of this particular unit. Now, if you have any question, feel free to ask me, please. Any question that you have? Hello? Do you have any question?
No, sir.
I have a question because I've explained you what is performance appraisal. Can you tell me which are the areas where we are going to use performance appraisal data? Where can we use performance appraisal data? The areas in which we can use it. Anybody who can do brainstorming and tell me as to where can we use it? This is one thing that I did not tell you.
Can you repeat the question?
Where can we use the performance appraisal data? The areas where we are going to use performance appraisal data that has been generated by the organizations.
So to justify the promotion of a particular employee?
Justify promotion.
Yes, sir.
We said that in the beginning, it is not for reward or punishment.
Okay, sir.
So it can be
But
used by other companies.
to some extent, you are right? But not fully. Yeah.
Develop principles of management.
Any other?
So it can be used by other companies.
Develop principles of management.
See, first thing first, when an employee enters an organization, he or she enters the organization based on the selection. And that selection is based on a predictor variable. Prediction is that if a person has scored certain percentage of marks in the test and interviews, or if his performance has been of a certain level, he or she will be able to deliver in the organizations as well, right? So the first thing is that once you have spent a year in the organization, that data can be compared for correlating the standard, so that selection tools are being honed. it is being corrected if there is anything wrong in the organization. This is the first thing that happens with the performance appraisal data, that your instrument that you have developed for selection will be corrected if it is not correct. Right. This is first. Second, we use it for the training and development process, because we said clearly that the employees are asked to indicate as to what will make their performance better. Second, it is the supervisor who also would write as to why the performance is not up to the standard or why the performance is up to the standard. Both ways it is there. If performance standard is, performance is very good, then it is not that there is no red signal. In fact, the red signal is more if everybody is performing at their best, as to is the standard that we have set too low, right? So that standard needs to be revised. So performance appraisal data will be utilized for the standards to be set, and it is checked as to if the standard are too low or too high in case of low performance and high performance which are there. The third thing that we know is that we know the deficient areas in the organization, as to which area of the employee's performance is deficient, so that we can fill the gap. We can make, corrections so that every area is foolproof, not that your performance in one area is excellent, whereas in another area it is not. We have got to see that overall performance falls to be effective and efficient, that is there. We also sometimes use it for promotable employees only. This is utilized for the purpose of considering them for future promotions based on past performance, if at all it is being considered. So performance appraisal data of promotable employees are being utilized for the settlement of, for awarding promotion.